Maybe we're just stupid.
Yeah, this is on us entirely. Like, I don't know.
Oh, and one more thing.
Good morning, everyone.
So we are back at Noho today, our favorite cafe, and we did find out why it's called Noho. It's named after the New York neighborhood. We went inside to ask, and immediately we could tell it's like New York themed. But Noho, we learned, is like the neighborhood that's above, like north of Houston Street, versus like Soho is south of Houston. So yeah, it's like a New York themed.
Yeah, so the cafe owner, that's where he spent a few years learning to work and to run cafes in Noho. And so he came back to Zagreb and he, created his own cafe called Noho, and off he goes.
Yeah. Very authentic Croatian cafe.
Or authentic New York.
We end up being drawn to the American.
Yeah.
No, but we're back here, and for today, we just wanted to kind of give an overview of the things that we liked about Zagreb, things that we didn't necessarily love, and then some things that surprised us. So I guess we'll start with what do you think?
With the pros.
With the pros.
All right, so the obvious pro here is delicious food.
Yeah, the food here is so good.
So good, obviously, because like their food here, you don't need to pump it full of preservatives, and the EU laws for food regulations prohibit it. In Canada, all the food that we eat, or most of it, is designed to last the winter, right? It needs to sit in the warehouses during the off season long enough for us to be able to consume it all the way up until the spring. And so it's genetically engineered and covered in chemicals to make sure that that happens. And by doing that, it makes the flavor not so good, you know?
Another thing that we loved was how friendly the people here are. So like everyone that we met, they were like super friendly, smiley, very nice to us.
Yeah.
A lot of them helped us learn a few Croatian words to like get along and stuff, which was super nice. And we found that anytime we used like our 3 Croatian words that we've been using, so we know like hello or like good day, which is dobar dan.
Yeah.
And then thank you,
which
hvala.
is hvala.
And then doviđenja for goodbye.
Yeah.
Anytime we use those 3 simple little words, bare minimum,
they'll just grin.
Yeah,
you know?
they'll get so happy, like laugh with us and stuff. I don't know, maybe they're laughing at us. We were just pronouncing them really wrong.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
But people were super receptive to us, like trying to learn a little bit about like the language and the culture. And everyone we've met has been like super, not only friendly, but also funny. It's really hard to be funny in a second language, so just kind of think about how like everyone here speaks Croatian first and then English as like a second, third, fourth language maybe, and the fact that they can be funny in English is just so impressive to me.
The next pro that we have on our list is cheap rent. I mean, like it's half of what we were paying in Toronto for the same month. You know, you can't go wrong with that. It really helps us be able to do this trip and be able to enjoy Zagreb the way that we want to, you know, allow us to spend more money on things like museums and restaurants and experiences that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to afford.
Yeah,
you know?
It's true. Like, I mean, not only is our rent like half what we paid in Toronto, but our apartment is probably 2 or 3 times the size.
Yeah.
Like we have like 2 rooms and like a
yeah, I know.
kitchen.
For the first time, we're staying in a place that has designated rooms with doors.
It's true. Yeah. So it's a nice change going from a studio to like a 1-bedroom, like a big 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
And you guys will see the Airbnb too. We'll do an Airbnb tour before we leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really nice. Speaking of that, not only is our rent cheap and our place is big, but we're also in a great location in the city.
Yeah, I mean, like, look around. Look where we are right now.
Yeah.
And it's just like 2 seconds away down the street.
Yeah, we're about a 1-minute walk from our apartment.
Yeah.
So the location's amazing. And I think Zagreb as a city, like if you think about the lower town and the upper town, it's just super walkable. Like we've never had to use transit outside of like getting out of the city. So it's and everything is within a 15 to 20 minute walk, like if you're going across the city.
Yeah.
And so we've loved just being able to walk around. You don't have to wait for a bus or subway or anything.
And leading into this is how great the transit system is here. I mean, the streetcars, or what they call the trams, arrive every 3 to 4 minutes.
There's one right there.
Yeah, there it is. See what we're talking about? So in Toronto, the buses, for example, they're getting defunded. And so what used to come every, how long?
The bus near our house used to come every 5 minutes. Now it's
every half hour, which is such a bummer, Because then if you know that moment where you're like, oh, I just missed it. Before it'd be like, oh, another one's coming in 5 minutes. But now it's every half hour, right? That's a bummer. So here you don't have to worry about that. It's very frequent. They're very on top of their stuff here. And it's the density of it too, They have a bus or a streetcar coming every street or two for everything. It's great.
Also, within I guess a close radius of the upper and lower town, the downtown area, there are a lot of streetcar stations that are intersecting with other routes. So from our limited experience taking the tram, whenever we go somewhere, we can either take this car, this car, this car. So it's it makes it just a lot faster, because then within a couple minutes, the car that you need to get on, you're here.
Yeah.
Another thing too, just really quick, is that Zagreb as a city is super beautiful. I guess because it's just so old, it's so much older than what we're used to. But the architecture is really beautiful, and it's nice to just be able to walk around and I guess just look at all the buildings.
Yeah. Next thing on our list of pros is the market, obviously. It's just they have such a wide selection of fruits, vegetables, meats, cheeses, you name it, right? And it's just so cheap for everything. You can go in there with 10 euros and walk out with 5 to 8 kilograms of fruits, vegetables, meats, and cheeses.
Yeah, well, even more. Usually, most things are $1 or €1 a kilo.
Yeah, €1 a kilo, and that's a kilo, man. That's a lot of food.
It's a lot.
You could do all your groceries for a whole week with less than 20 euros.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, it's pretty great.
Exactly. Yeah. Another pro. I mean, well, it's a little pro and con, I guess. But the weather while we're here has been amazing.
Yeah. Look, I'm still in a t-shirt. It's February.
Yeah. I think it's part we got lucky and part climate change. I think the week before we arrived in Zagreb, it was minus 14 Celsius. And so I brought my puffer coat and we were ready for some cold weather. And then when we got here, I think the coldest it's been has been 5 degrees.
Yeah.
And that's at night.
It hasn't been below freezing once.
Yeah.
Here.
And mostly, I'd say the average would be 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, and it's been sunny most days.
Yeah.
So it's really just really pleasant weather. Although a lot of the locals have been telling us that this is not what it's supposed to be at all in February. I mean, and even when we went up to Slieme when we did the hike, you guys may have seen they had a fake snow blower there to make a little ski hill, and it was kind of pathetic because normally the hill's supposed to be covered in snow for skiing, but people haven't been able to ski this year.
Yeah. But as tourists, we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Another great thing here is you can pay for almost everything here with card. You just tap the card on the machine and you're off to the races. You don't have to fumble a change very often. It's very straightforward. And so we're loving that the shared card that we've been using here is working flawlessly. When we first got here, we were a bit worried it wouldn't work and we'd be in trouble. And we'd be like, okay, how do we pay for anything? What do we do? How do we eat? But no problems at all. So very happy with that.
Yeah, there are also tons of ATMs downtown. The only place where you can't pay with card, though, is the market. Most places in the market, especially the outdoor stalls, you need to have cash. But
yeah, it's okay, but as tourists, it's important to have cash on hand all the time anyways, for those exact reasons, for whenever you don't expect it. Moving on to the hopefully short and sweet list of cons, because, gotta be well-rounded here, right?
So I'd say the biggest con came as kind of a surprise to us, and it's that a lot of things were more expensive than we expected. We've definitely had some maybe scams at the market.
Yeah, when I paid $1 million for what, zucchini?
Yeah, it was $26 for 2 kilos of ground beef. Although we heard that ground beef is really expensive right now for some reason.
Oh.
So
okay.
Could be that, but I think if you paid 28 euros for a haircut.
I mean, it's better than what I had. Can't do much with this kind of hair, but whatever.
And like food in restaurants have been a little pricey, like a little pricier than we expected. However, it is a Schengen country and it is in the EU,
Yeah.
so it's kind of to be expected. And they're using the euro, right? So when you like translate
Yeah.
that to Canadian dollars, it is a lot.
The locals were saying that as soon as they converted to the euro as a currency in this country, when they joined the EU, all the prices shot right up. Now, also, same with the salary shot up too, but so did the prices. So for tourism, it got hit kind of hard because of that. But the general quality of life here has improved overall.
It's also like inflation's hitting everywhere pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I think that could be part of it. Overall, it's not bad, but I'd say like for a lot of things, maybe on average, we're paying about the same as we were in Toronto. However, we are saving a lot on rent. So I think
Yes.
that makes it good.
Absolutely. Another con, in our opinion, is that almost everything's closed on Sundays, but that's just because we're used to things being open on Sundays. I'm sure if we lived here, we just get used to the routine of stocking up on food beforehand and all that kind of stuff. But for us who are like, you know, Sunday is one of our only free days outside of work, we want to be able to engage in the outside world more. And if that feels kind of limited. So maybe it's just an adjustment period, maybe not, maybe it's just annoying, but for us, like, we'd prefer if they were open, but we understand why they're not.
But I think we've just been dealing with that by making the most out of our weekday mornings.
One other con that I noticed personally is that in North America, you have a lot of those giant department gyms. You know, it's like an enormous building with endless equipment, and there's tons of stuff in there. Here, that's not really a thing. The biggest gym we could find is the one that we have, and it's still pretty limited on certain kinds of equipment, particularly machines. And apparently that's going to be a consistent thing that we will notice throughout our trip, is that European gyms just tend to be smaller. I mean, nothing you can do about that. That's just like the gym culture here. And like you make do with what you got, right? No problem at all. But I guess I kind of just miss the variety of equipment that I got used to using in Canada.
Another thing, another con, I guess. Maybe we're just stupid.
Yeah, this is on us entirely. Yeah.
We don't understand the traffic here. We're used to like, you know, Canadian and American traffic crossings where like, you know, if you're crossing the street, there's going to be like a red hand and then like a walking man and then like a countdown. Here there are no countdowns. So you kind of have to guess how many seconds are left. And especially in like a large intersection, you could get caught in the middle and then cars are starting to drive.
And then you also see the locals jaywalking, but you don't know if they're jaywalking or if you're allowed to cross here because like we don't understand the signs and the signals that well. Like we're guessing like green means go, right? It must mean go, but like then there's other ones that aren't so clear. And so there's a lot of intersections where we're sitting there waiting for like 5+ minutes and we're thinking like, do we go? Like it's been 5 minutes. Like I pressed the button. Like is it just anyways? I feel like that's another thing. Like, if we just Googled how the traffic works here, we'd be fine. But I'd rather just live in ignorance and pretend that it's just silly.
Yeah.
You know?
It also doesn't help that like all the signs are in Croatian. So like, you know, we don't really know the traffic laws. We don't really know what the signs are saying. But yeah, we just actually realized there's one type of light that we didn't really get until today, after like 4 weeks of living here, where instead of a like red, green, and yellow light, there's a yellow light that flashes either a horizontal or vertical line.
So if you see the light and it's a vertical line, that means it's your turn to go. And if you see the horizontal line, that means it's the other guy's turn to go. But then also the position of these lights are different too. For us, we're used to those lights being hanging over the crosswalk of the opposite side of the intersection. The lights on this side, they're actually on your side of the intersection, so they're much closer to the car. And so like you kind of, instead of looking like there, you're looking like right there to like see where the signal is. And so like we're looking in the wrong place the whole time. We're like, well, how do these people know when to go? Like I can't see anything.
Another thing too that I noticed like right out of the airport was there are a lot of mirrors, like traffic mirrors that cars I guess are supposed to look at to like maybe check the blind spot or something.
Yeah.
Which is useful, but like I had never seen that before. Maybe it's a European thing, maybe it's a Croatian thing. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing. I don't know if this is every traffic light, but I saw one that went from red to yellow to green instead of just red to green. So like the cars are stopped at the intersection and then it turns yellow and then it turns green.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Does that mean it cross slowly, or does that mean you're get ready to go put your phone down? Like I don't know.
I don't know. Another thing is that there's construction everywhere. A lot of scaffolding because they're repairing a lot of buildings that were like damaged by the earthquake. Which, I mean, it's good that they're repairing them, and we've seen some where the repairs are done, and they're doing a great job. But it can just be kind of, I don't know, distracting, because like pretty much every other building in some areas of the town are like covered in scaffolding, and you can't really see what they are. Which also has caused a lot of museums to be closed that we wanted to see.
Yeah. It is what it is. We just arrived at the wrong time. I'm sure 5 years from now, if we visited, everything would be done and ready to go, and everything would be full force again. But for now, it's just on us, you know? The last thing, which is totally my fault, is they don't really have very many clothes that fit my body. You know? Now, that was to be expected, because even in Canada, I was struggling to find like triple XL shirts and quadruple XL shorts and stuff like that, right? But here you'll pick up a t-shirt or any shirt that says triple XL on it, you try it on, you realize it's like a medium or a large at best. And so their version of triple XL is much smaller of a size than what we're used to. Yeah. And so realistically, in European sizing, I would need like a 5 or 6 XL just to make it look comfortable. Like this would be a 5 XL in Europe, whereas it's in North America, this is a double XL. But that's like, you know, that's not the fault of the people here. That's just,
yeah, exactly.
That's just me being a freak. So.
And now for the things that surprised us. So, one thing that surprised us specifically about the gym here is that apparently most gyms require you to bring a separate pair of gym shoes, which we had never had to do before, I guess, going to like Canadian and American gyms. But turns out you can get in trouble for for wearing your street shoes in the gym.
Yeah.
Luckily, we got a pass for the gym that we're staying at because the people at the front desk like us.
Yeah.
We're friends with them.
Yeah.
And so we also met a guy who works at the gym who, I guess he's one of the managers there, maybe. But he used to live in Vancouver. So
he gets it.
He gets it. Yeah, we're Canadian friends with him.
Yeah. Because we're here for a limited time, they understand that we didn't bring a second pair of shoes because we just couldn't fit it. So we're okay. But I think in other countries in the Balkans, they actually enforce the shoe rule even harder. And so we might need to get another pair when we travel. Another thing that surprised us here is that most people speak great conversational English. We thought it would be a little bit more difficult to communicate, you know, make sure that we say the right words that they understand and vice versa. But no, it's been pretty smooth for most things, you know. It's been pretty good.
Another thing that was a pleasant surprise is that there's tons of outdoor seating. So kind of like the area we're sitting in right now. On any day, at any point in the day, you'll find a ton of people sitting down outside drinking coffee, especially when it's sunny outside. People here love the sun, and they'll just sit outside with a coffee for hours in the sun. A lot of streets have a middle part where usually the road would be, but instead it's just rows and rows and rows of tables and chairs. And that's where you would get your coffee and your stuff from the bakery and just sit there and I don't know, just enjoy outdoors. Which is so nice. We've been loving just sitting outside and enjoying the weather, especially because the weather's been so good.
Another thing that surprised us is just the acceptance of smoking here. There's a lot of places you can smoke indoors and it's not a problem. They have ashtrays on the indoor tables and stuff. There's some buildings you'll walk in and go, oh, it smells like cigarettes in here. Oh my God. There was one restaurant we went to that was the case, and I just because we're not smokers, right, and we're not used to being exposed to that kind of stuff, we're choking. Maybe also because we had a cold.
When we were sick, yeah.
When we were sick, we walked in, we're like, oh my God, I'm coughing like crazy in here.
Another thing is bakeries. So not only are there just so many bakeries on every street next to each other, across from each other, but it seems like here bakeries are fast food, the fast food of Croatia or Europe or whatever.
Yeah, instead of a Wendy's, you got a mlinar.
Yeah,
you know?
Which is nice because we love the bakeries. And we're glad that there's so many of them. And hopefully it'll be the case in all the countries we visit.
Another thing that surprised us is walking around, I noticed, oh my god, there's so many people that are like my height. Normally in Canada, I'll see them, once a week I'll see a guy who's roughly my height, maybe 6'5" or taller, and they really stand out because like, normally when I look at people, I look kind of down a little bit because that's where their faces are, right? So I'm used to that. So being 6'7", it's very rare to make eye contact with somebody and my face be level at the same time. Subconsciously, it makes my brain feel tricked, like, oh, are they taller than me? But they could be like 4 inches shorter than me, but I'll still think they're like very, very tall because I'm not used to looking that high up. And here I find it's happening multiple times a day rather than once a week. It's like we'll be walking down the street, I'm like, damn, that guy must be like over 6'5", like he's super tall, and it's just so much more common here. It was just interesting.
And then I guess the last thing is the McDonald's here.
Yeah.
So I guess we didn't expect it to be like a huge hit. Like we figured, well, they'll probably have McDonald's, but that's just because McDonald's is everywhere. But we've only been in there like a couple times.
Yeah.
But it's always packed. Like it's always flooded with people.
We'll walk by the entrance and look through the doors, and it's just crowds of people in there. We thought that because it's Europe, they would, they would almost turn their nose up at American fast food, But instead, you go in there and there's like 10,000 teenagers and parents and families and whoever, like just ordering and like it's got to be the busiest place here, It's like, oh, okay.
Well, there's always a line. The patio is always full
at all hours.
Yeah. And those were the things we liked, didn't love, and were surprised by. Overall, we had a great time in Zagreb. We loved it.
Yeah,
Loved
10 out of 10.
Yeah, we're kind of sad to leave.
Yeah.
It feels like the way I described it is it feels like you're fostering a dog, and you have to like give it back.
Oh, yeah. You've bonded with the dog for that period of time, and now you got to return it to the owner. It's like, but they're mine now,
I know, yeah. Like we know the streets now. Like, we have our like little neighborhood, our favorite places, but I guess it's time to move on.
Yeah.
We'd love to come back though one day. It's so beautiful. And
it'll be so much easier to visit now because like we kind of know where everything is. We know what to do. We know where to go. The mental map is already filled in, So. Yeah.
So that's all for today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.